them dicks. I run up the money. I'm getting fat. How can they fat? My money they stacking. I'm stacking up chips. I'm stacking up hundreds.
I know y'all love my story time, so I'm back with another story time banger for you guys today. I'm gonna be telling you about my prom experience I had 4 times in a row. Before we even get started, just let me insert this clip right here.
Really gonna miss you. It's really gonna be different without you. Time is gonna be hard and slow. For the rest of my life, I'm gonna be thinking about you. Yes, I am. Time came when you had to go. I'll miss you, my buddy. I'll miss you, my friend. Really gonna miss you.
Before we even get started into this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can get notified when I post. And please, please, please share this video. We get straight into it. So, my first time going to prom was in 2015. That was my very first time going to prom. I didn't have any expectation of what I was supposed to think of prom. I only seen prom on Instagram and Facebook around that time because Instagram wasn't really popping. It was still kind of old. We still had the orange Instagram around that time. So it wasn't really popping like that. So I didn't really know what to expect or what to think. I know I was very nervous because everybody else around that time was just being real boring. It wasn't anything just like nobody was doing anything just like really popping around that time.
Anytime me and my sister, when we say we finna step out, we finna go all the way to the extreme, to the above and beyond. We gonna make sure that we on point every single time. Mind y'all, I was only saying that due to the fact that I just didn't want to come out looking like this.
Hell no.
I know you fucking lying, bitch.
No, hell to the no. Hell to the no.
So I really didn't have an idea of what to expect. So the people that I went to school with around that time, I went to prom with them. But everybody was just doing something decent. They were just basically looking like they just went to the store and just bought something. If you know what I mean. Just to say they went. They weren't really just doing anything that was standing out to be seen and stuff like that. Like me, I just like to be, I'm going to stand out regardless. Because how I am, my personality, I'm just going to stand out. I don't want to be that person that's just back there in the corner. When it's time to get dressed, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to make sure I'm seen. I'm going to make sure I come through the door. You going to hear me come through the door. You definitely going to see me. That's just how I do. I just can't be in the corner, sitting out over there, dried up. I just can't. You ain't never going to see me act like that. I can't do that because that's just not my character. So around this time, I was real nervous. It was my first time going. And I didn't have a date. Didn't have anything to wear. And I was nervous. I had to start off, I had to go find me something to wear. So my particular color, I didn't have a color scheme. So my favorite color is red. So I decided to wear red. I had a red vest and just everything else was just normal. Just black, white shirt, red vest, and red bow tie, and black, everything else. So it was real cool, real simple. Went in. So at this particular time, I was very known for being very dressed and distinct in whatever I do and whatever I wear. So I got invited to go to prom through a friend of mine that didn't have a date. So she ended up not wanting to go at all. So she didn't go. So she had the 2 tickets that she had, I ended up taking them. And so I took me and my sister, which we're going to get her name. Me and T took her spot. So we went to prom in her place. So we just ended up going anyway. So they didn't really care. The people who was running the prom and just checking the names, they really didn't care anyway, as long as I had the tickets. So that's why we did that. Whoop, 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 whoop. She didn't really have anything to wear either, so we had to go find her a dress. our little 1-2-1-2. That was back in 2015. So moving on up to my year, graduating year was 2016. I had an idea. So 2015 was like my trial year, just to see what my do's and don'ts, my hairstyles to do, that's your trial run. You just need to find out what you should and shouldn't do, what's gonna work and what's not gonna work, what's gonna make you stand out and what's gonna put you in the back. That's what I was using that whole year for, just to play around with everything, to see what I was gonna do and see how I was gonna maneuver it for my year once my year got there. So 2016 came that, which was my graduating year. I already had an idea about what I wanted to do and how I was going to do it, because I was planning it since 2015. I was planning it for 2016 about how I was going to run this whole show. So I had to help my date, which I already had the date in mind, because I didn't have one at first. So I already had one in mind. So I just took T. So I took T to the first one and I took T to the second one. So keep up with T, because she's gonna do this whole story. So I took her to the second one. So we had to find her something to wear, which was the most difficult part for me, was trying to find her something to wear that she was gonna actually like, and then it was too about something I could match with her. Try to find something to match, but the suit that I was gonna buy was sold out. So I ended up having to just put something together, which still wasn't a problem. It was something real simple that I just threw together. So I didn't really care. As long as she had what she wanted, I was fine. I just wanted to go. I didn't really care too much about it. Once we got her dress, we ended up ordering her dress from online from one of these websites, which we should have checked before we ended up ordering it. But that's like the thing that comes with ordering stuff online. You're not able to try it on. You're not able to see the material. Then you're not able to see how it looks on an actual person. So I think we ordered her dress. From Allied Express at the time. So everybody, if you order anything from Allied Express, you already know how that comes. It's like sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. So what I should have did was like what I got versus what I ordered. And once the dress got here, like it got here 2 weeks before prom. So I was like, what are we gonna do? The dress. So once the dress got here, the dress, it didn't fit. We pulled it out the bag. We held it up. I was like, okay, we got some issues. So the material that the dress was made in was not the same material as what was on the picture, because the dress on the picture was like mostly sheared, but the dress that she got was mostly cloth. It had a sheared back on it, but it wasn't like the picture, because the picture had mostly sheared in it. It wasn't any like clothy parts of that part. The same way they make like slips. It wasn't no slip on there at all. It was just sheared. So they reversed it and made the shear a slip. So it was like, that's not what you put in the picture. So that was one issue. The second issue is my sister at the time was like very hippie. So she had more hips than anything. All that back area there, she had more than enough. So we couldn't even get the dress over the hips because it just wasn't coming up. So they made the dress so tight, it was just like ridiculous. So we put in her measurements as well. So that was the other thing. So ordering it from Allied Express, which is pretty much China. So ordering it from China, they make everything like 2 sizes small. So they sold that thing. They sold that thing tight. They sold a sew. They made sure that when the sew was gonna get in that dress. So we was trying to get it over her, and it just wasn't going. So we tried every way we could. We tried going from the bottom up and over the head and down, and then it just wasn't working. It just was struggling. So She was all disappointed. She was crying. I was just like, I'm struggling. So me being the brother that I am, I had to take the dress. I had to cut most of the slip that I could out, because that was the problem. It was too much slip in there. So I had to cut some of it out. So when I cut some of it out, she was able to somewhat slide in. She was crying. She was
because that right there made him cry all motherfucking night.
Freaking out. She cried and cried about that dress, because it was like literally, it was crunch time. Like prom was around the corner, a couple of days away. So I had to do what I had to do. So I got online. I'm Googling people that can sew, like sewing shops that can try to sew her in the dress or something like that. Because at the time, like, nobody in the family, but nobody knew how to sew. I did as best as I could, trying to hem and do what I can. But you know, I'm not professional. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing something. I just know what my mama showed me how to do, how to sew a sock. I'm trying to do that, incorporate that method into this dress. So I was sewing the stuff. I was doing what I had to do, but it wasn't working. So I had to find me somebody on Google. Some old lady popped up, and I was like, she had her number up on Google. It was some sewing shop over there on Non-Connor. If you don't know what it is. So I was over there, I found her, hit her up. I was like, excuse me, you know how to do anything about a dress they came from so-and-so, so-and-so? It's crunch time. My prom is around the corner, and my date, she ain't got no dress. Her dress is right here, but it's all fucked up. Can you do anything about that? She was like, of course, sweetie, all you have to do is bring her in, bring the dress in, and I can try to get her in it, and then we can see what's wrong with it and see where we can go from there, and then we can just sew her in the dress or see how she wants to go about it from there. So I was like, cool, you know, this is gonna be easy breeze. Let's do what we gotta do. So we take her down there. It was even more depressing because she still got into it. She was able to get into it, but then she was still not comfortable in it. So at this point now, we're stressing out even more, because now we're like 3 days away. We still have no dress, and we're 3 days away. Stressing out. So her dress only came down to like about right here. That's where it stopped. It was supposed to come up, but it just stopped right there because of how much tethering that she had to do with the sheer part towards the back. It was just all dysfunctional. So she was very upset. I was very confused, nervous, and unsure about how this was going to turn out. But that third day came and Grandma came through. I was so grateful that she came through. I said a good old prayer. I prayed a prayer that night, that week, that day, that she will come through for us and help us get this dress the way it's supposed to be. But she did, and we was able to get her in the dress, and lo and behold, as you can see, I'm posting videos and some pictures, hopefully of of the night and how that went. After that, I was just, when she got in it, that, like, we was freaking out. They came for the prom. So after we finally got done playing with Grandma and got the dress situated, we went with her mom to the mall to get her face done. So of course she had to get her face done, get her hair done. So we were stressing out about that. You know, for me particularly, the females take longer than the males anyway. So that's just a given how that's gonna go anyway. So she had to go get her hair done. That took all day. So then after she got her hair done, we had to run to the mall and try to get her face done. So then, she only likes her makeup a certain type of way. She doesn't like a full face, so she had to try to get that situated. So she was taking stuff off and put stuff on. And everybody can't really do makeup, so of course it was some stuff she liked and some stuff she didn't. So once we finally got that situated, we had to run back to the house. So now we are already 2 hours late. We 2 hours late because prom started, like, of course you know how school's gonna do. Which was the other situation. At school, I kept asking everybody, what time you gonna show up? Are you gonna show up on time? Or you gonna show up late? So the thing was, the prom started at like around 7:30. So naturally, in my mind, I'm thinking like nobody's gonna show up on time. So we should be good. We should be straight. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna show up late. I'm gonna show up about 2, or I'm a prompt person. So I didn't want to be like that lame person to show up on time and be that person, but I was like, I'm just show up a little bit late. Me thinking me gonna be late, supposed to show up an hour late, ended up turning me to showing up 2 hours late. So finally got there after she got her hair done, got her makeup done, and we finally got sent off because everybody came to the house and sent us off. So they was freaking out about that. I mean, when she got into the dress, I was just like beyond Star Trek, because I was just like,
Damn!
Damn, that's my sister. Like, damn. Like, shawty was good. Like, we did our best. Grandma did her best. She did a wonderful job fixing that dress for us. So I gotta give her props on that. Because I was really stressing out. She was really stressing out, and she cried a cry. And she cried a whole lot of tears, and I was very frustrated trying to get that situated. So at this point, I'm not even thinking about my suit that I couldn't even buy. I ain't even stressing about that no more. So at this point, due to that simple fact, so once we finally got sent off and everybody took their pictures, we showed up 2 hours late. So me trying to rush from all the way from South Memphis to Cordova to the place that my school was hosting the prom at this particular time. I wish I could remember the name of it, but I can't remember the name of the place. So we finally got there, so I'm thinking like, cool, we're gonna have it. We was talking on the way there. We're gonna have the best time. This is gonna be the time of my lives. Can you believe that we actually going to prom? And we actually going to prom together. I was just like, you know, we finna turn up. Like, yeah, nigga, we finna turn up. I'm just like, yeah, I can't wait to get up in there, because I was like, my folks don't know you. You don't know them. Like, we gonna show up in there. They just gonna be looking around. You know how everybody do. So I was just like, bro, I can't wait. I can't wait. I was just like, it's gonna be on and popping. So before we even got there, I ended up getting pulled over by the police because I was speeding through Cordova. I was so mad, and so I was like, okay, that's wasting even more time. But he ended up giving me like 50 and 45. So it was like, the ticket was small. It was like $50. So I was still mad, but I was like, you know, I ain't gonna sweat it. Once we finally got to the prom, good grief. Trying to walk up, we took a couple of pictures outside our car. So once we got done doing that, we was walking up to the building. So of course you know how the proms go with the schools. There's a couple of teachers that's gonna be sitting outside the prom, you know, making sure everybody come in, they all in the dress code. Ain't nobody wearing nothing that they ain't supposed to be wearing and stuff like that. So we had a couple of those out there. So we got there, and then the lady was like, okay, you know, where's your tickets and what's your name, so I can take y'all names off the list. So I showed her the tickets. I was like, this is us, and I told her name, and she was like, she took our names off the list. She was like, okay, so where's her ID? And I was like, huh? What? Her ID? I'm looking at her like, you got it? She opening her purse, and she stressing out because she was like, okay, we did everything right, and then we get to this one part, and now we done fucked up. We done dropped the ball on this one part. She was like, I don't have my ID. So I'm just like, at this point, now I'm finna cry. Because we done went through all this leading up to the day. I done planned this day out from 2015 all the way up to now. And you telling me that you ain't got one thing that they asking for, your ID? You don't have your ID of all days. You don't have your ID. You have your ID with you all the time, T. And now you don't have your ID today. I'm depressed. I'm mad as hell. But she was like, okay, maybe I left it in the car. Okay, well, let me go back to the car and look for you. And then it was just like this one teacher that was out there that we was cool. My grandma used to do some work on her yard for her. So she was like, I already know her, so we can go ahead and let them in. Now, I had already went back to the car by this time. I had already went back to the car and looked for her ID, which I already found. It was still in the car. So I had ran back up there, and she was like, I will let y'all in regardless, because I already know you. She got all that situated and let them take all their pictures and whatnot. We walked on in, but we, you know, they're playing the music and whatnot. I was like, so what do you want to do? I'm the biggest person when it come down to that. So, of course, there's people everywhere. Can't recognize nobody because everybody got their face done. And you seeing people in suits and ties that you ain't never seen dress up a day in their life. So you don't know who is who. So when we first got in there, got us a table. And so we just went and sat down because at this point, we exhausted. We tired. I stressed out because I had to just go through this whole song and dance just to get here. Like, nobody understands what I went through just to get here, just to even get this day started. Down for a minute, we had to catch our breath, and then we ended up seeing a photo booth. So we got up and got back over there in the photo booth line. We took us a couple of pictures and whatnot, so that was kind of fun doing that. photos. I was like, hey, let's go ahead and go get us some food while we can, because I said, you already know how black folks is. You know, black folks gonna eat up some food, especially if it's chicken. The chicken gonna be gone before anything. So I was like, okay, we was a little late getting here. We got over there to the food table, and tell me why all the food was gone. It wasn't nothing left on the table. And I'm like, okay, first of all, this is a big school. They already know we are a big class in general. Why don't you have like round the clock catering? There's no reason for you to have like one pan of this and that's it. Like, who does that?
Alright, so I forgot to add this one key part. It was like a server. They did have one server, and he was just there to, like, I guess to clean up like whatever is empty, and he was just cleaning up. So I was like, hey, is there any more food or anything else that you can put out, or you putting other stuff out? But he was like, no.
Ain't no more.
I'm like, okay, rude. But he said you can do me a favor and clean the pan. Then he said you can get the rest of those strawberries. What?
So we didn't get no food. So we was upset about that. But the only thing that came good about that whole night, we got nominated for best dress and we actually won. So I was actually very happy about that. The whole night for me worth it, because that's what I was going for, and that's what I did, what I needed to do. About that simple little get up that I had on my day, I had to make sure she was straight for the whole entire thing. But anyway, now mind you, now go back to the dress. We didn't know grandma was gonna put like
extra secure safety thing on the back of her dress at the time. So we did, once we put her in it, we figured out what it was. So we didn't know grandma put hooks in the back of the dress. So it was like a little loop and a hook. Of course we put it, when we got her in it, we put it together and we seen what it was for. But we did not know that she did that. So the fact of her doing that made it real difficult for her to get out of it by herself. So she needed help to get out of it, and then me not knowing how she got in it and me struggling. So remember this hook and this needle, this needle and this hook, because it's gonna come back up in this story. So once we got to Sonic, because we was starving and didn't have no food to eat, so we pulled up at Sonic because that was the only thing open at the time. So once we got there, she was like she couldn't take it anymore. She was sitting over there and she was like she can't take it anymore. She got to get out of the dress. So I was like, okay, I got out of the car, went around over there on the passenger side and was trying to get her out of the dress. But see, the part was, like I said, those hooks was in the dress and it was like hooked in there. And I was like, damn, like how the fuck am I supposed to undo this? So once I was fighting to try to get it undone, and then the whole time I was trying to do that, like the manager that was closing that day, he was like waving his hand talking about push the button, and I was like, wait, and he kept talking about no, push the button. And he was saying that because he was finna close, and had I not pushed, if I don't push the button, we won't get no food. So I was tripping, but we was struggling to try to get her out of that dress, but eventually we finally got it.
That was my 2016 prom. Now, on to the next prom, which was her prom. Same year, fast forward a little bit. She took me to her prom, so I took her to mine, so she took me to hers. She didn't have anything to wear, so we had to go find us a new dress. So we ended up changing the color scheme, and we wanted to do something different. So I was like, okay, we have never did like a cream color. So I said, well, let's just try that out. So we ended up doing brown, kind of cream, kind of brownish. I'm saying beige. We did this little beige color. Now her prom, it was most definitely, it was kind of fun and whatnot. We did us a little simple 1-2-1-2. Walked in, showed I did what we had to do. I mostly let her do her own thing with her friends, and I was just kind of there just for chaperone her. But fast forward on up to 2017, so the very last prom that me and her went to. So by this time it was the last prom that we got invited to, due to the fact that, you know, we won best dressed at my prom. So this is kind of like a recap of 2016, but it's just showing everybody that was best dressed, you know, everybody that got nominated type thing that was going on. Every year that I go to something, I have to come out and I have to try to top each year that I went and did something. So the year, like 2014, I did red, and that was just something simple. 2016, I did blue and cream. So 2017, I was like, okay, what do we want to do? Like, it gotta be something over the top. It gotta be something different. It gotta be something that nobody has. So I had to go to the store and find me something that I already knew nobody was gonna have, nobody was gonna even think to get. I went to the store and I found me this gold blazer, because that was what I was going for. I was trying to find something gold for me and something for her. But I found this whole fully gold blazer. I found some black pants and gold shoes. So I went and that was my whole outfit. I was straight. So we had to find her a gold dress. But it was so difficult at the time because I didn't want to we didn't want to end up having the same situation that we had back in 2016. Ordering something offline and then it not being what it's supposed to be, or not giving what it's supposed to give. Nobody wants to go through that whole song and dance again. So I was just like, okay, why don't we just go to a store, go to a dress store, and just see what we can find here in Memphis. Now, the problem with that was Memphis doesn't really have a wide variety of stuff for like people with hips and people that are a little bit thicker. They mostly have stuff for like skinny and petite people, which is bad to say, but it's just true. They just have stuff for skinny and petite people. The stuff in Memphis is so high. It's like you're gonna pay $200 for something that you could have bought online for like $50. So me buying a suit, I already knew it was gonna cost me like at least 200 something off the rip. So I wasn't even tripping because I already knew you gotta pretty much pay for what you want. So I already knew that was the case that I was gonna have to go with. But we ended up finding her a dress. Luckily I had, you know, you gotta go look on those back racks back there and get this going through them clothes. Yeah, so that was me. Deep diving in them clothes and them back racks. I ended up finding her something black and gold, but it wasn't initially the idea about what I was going for her. So I ended up, but what I found, it still was nice. So we just ended up going with that. So the day of, it came, and then we had a little time before. She didn't have her hair done, so we was freaking out about that. So we ended up having to go find some way, somehow, for her to get her hair done. So we ended up finding, you know, some hair. We took her to the shop. She got her hair all done and whatnot. And then she was like, well, she wanted to be different. She wanted her little headpiece. So I was like, dang, where we gonna find one of those from? Shopping for one of those is so hard because that's not a typical thing that you're gonna see in like a regular jewelry store. So we ended up having to order that like the day before. It got here on time, luckily. So she had a headpiece on. Extremely fun night that night, just to cap off, to say, I think, to top out all the proms I ever went to, I'm gonna say that was the best night out of them all because it was just fun. It was dancing with people we didn't even know. I'm not big on dancing because I can't really just dance like that. I'm gonna let you see how that went. if I could rank them from 1 to 10, I'm gonna say 2017 was number 1, 2016 was number 2 for the blue, 2016 number 3, and number 4 was 2014. That's how I rate them. That's the order that I would put them in. The last prom that we had was the best prom that I've ever been to. It was just, the people was very lively. I just had a fun time. I'm gonna wrap this video all up.
300K when my day ends. Do you remember last night? Cause I blacked out in that all white dress with a back out. Said be careful with her heart cause it's fragile. And thinking about her past make her lash out.